We're live with the AF15 guru himself. I am so happy that you've been kind enough to join us. I feel like I am in the presence of comic book royalty. Would you please introduce yourself to our live audience?
I'm not royalty. I'm just myself. Well, myself is Erol Molnar. I've been in Australia for the past 10 years. I've been a collector probably 3/4 of my life. I started out with DC Comics when I first started out. Superman was my big thing, as you can see from behind me. Then after a while, I just kind of transitioned to do a lot more for Marvel. Like as soon as the movies came out back in 2012 or even 2008, when Iron Man first came out, I had this big passion of, oh, these Marvel books are kind of really cool now because they're more in your face now. It wasn't like back in the day when you had, like, say, Fantastic Four, these early ones, even X-Men. They were good, but still, it wasn't like that big hyped up stuff that you see in like nowadays. But when 2012 came out, I think it was in April or May when Avengers came out. That's when things started like going boom. A lot of people, collectors, started going after books where it's like, hey, this is something we've never seen before. Now the market's just going gangbusters, and it's a great thing. It's like I'm a collector, you're a collector, we're all collectors. When the stuff goes up in price, we're going, hey, this is great, because now the stuff we collected for so many years is actually worth something now. But before, yes, back in the day, it wasn't.
So to give those who are unfamiliar with what you've done some little bit of a preview, I'd like to kind of foreshadow what we're going to be talking about and how you got there.
Yeah.
This is one of the most unbelievable photographs I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Before we talk about how you did it, can we talk about how it all started? How did you get into collecting?
How did I get collecting? Pretty much when I was a kid, like anybody, I was like probably 10, 12 years old. I used to go to my friend's house. He was in my elementary class, and he lived like 2-3 blocks away from where I lived, back in my hometown, which is Thunder Bay, Ontario, in Canada. So I used to go back to his house, like 2-3 blocks away from where I lived. And in his basement, I used to walk downstairs, and he'd have these big boxes of comics. I mean, like little Archies to, Marvel, DC, like everything you can imagine. It's all inside there. You just couldn't imagine, like when you walk inside there, it's like a field trip of just like, like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. You go, holy mackerel! You see all this stuff on the floor, and you're going, how did you get all this stuff? But back then it wasn't worth much. It's just basically, what you wanted to buy was costing like nickels and dimes back in the day.
Okay, so then what year are we talking about?
I'm talking about probably like say the mid 80s, around there, early 80s.
And you're about how old?
We won't say that. I'm still young at heart.
For a humble man, I found the sore spot, as the young kids say. Same.
Same. Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Inside,
I get it. So it's a very much a labor of love at that point.
Yeah, it is. Like to me, wise, like when I started getting older, like not older, but say early mid 20s, my mom and I used to watch a program called Lois and Clark. I used to watch every Sunday night, 8 p.m. religiously with my mom, and I got so wound up in it. I loved the stories. It was goofy at times, the stories, but it was really cool at the time to watch it all. And when you're watching it, you had that kind of like, that moment where you're going, all the collecting I do, you see it, these characters on TV now with these TV shows, it's like solidifying all the stuff that you've been collecting, saying, hey, this stuff is cool, because now they put on TV. Obviously done back in the day with George Reeves and stuff, but when Dean Cain was doing it, I go, oh, that's really cool. That's to myself, one day I'd like to get that Superman cape of his, and I did one day. So we'll put it that way. And then what happened was, after watching the TV show for so many years with my mom, I started to get that itch where, I want to start digging a little deeper, what kind of books to get from Superman, because when The Death of Superman came out, that was my big thing. When that book came out, that was like the biggest book to get.
It changed everything.
It changed everything. It changed my whole collecting attire. Where when I started to hunt for it, I remember every single week, like on a Saturday morning, I'd be going to these comic stores saying, "Hey, do you got this book here? Do you got this book here?" I look into the wall. These guys have got. I'd be seeing Wolverine #1. I'd be going, "Wow, this stuff is really cool," you know. Then I see Superman 1 on there, you know, like say the first one from George Byrne, or you look at say the Death of Superman. I said, "Do you have it here?" You know, because I want it for my collection, not because it's worth something. It's because I want it for my collection. You know, then as soon as I started getting it, what I did was I took all these books, like from the Death of Superman era. I took every book, I collected every single stack of them until the whole year's story was over. Then on my desktop in my bedroom at the time, I had all these books stacked up really high. And as soon as I got the whole year's collection done, I started reading every book one day at a time, just to get that feel for it. Instead of just getting one book 1 week, read it next week, I want to do it one book a day, so my mind always be fresh of what's happening next day. And that's how more I got enthralled in it. And then when I started doing all that, I started going to the internet, which was new at the time, like say I think it was mid or late 90s. My very first thing was going on eBay. And I go, this eBay is a really cool site. I got to go on eBay, see what's on there as far as for Superman stuff. The first thing I ever bought on eBay was the first autographed picture of Christopher Reeves. That was the first thing I ever bought. I still have it to this day.
It's beautiful.
That was one of the things I treasured the most, because I like going, you know, Superman was Christopher Reeves. Even to this day, he still will always be Christopher Reeves, you know, Superman.
You and me both, my friend. Now, were you all, so again, people who are not familiar with just the incredible achievement and discipline and success that you've enjoyed over the course of your life, what inspired the bodybuilding? Was it Superman, or
you know, pretty much the superhero comic wise, and also a really good family friend member of ours. Like he's like a brother from another mother, put it that way. This one felt like his name was Chris, and he was a good friend to my older brother. And when he came to my house, pardon?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
When I don't have someone here doing the audio visual, I screw everything up. Please continue.
You're messing it up, man. So anyways, my older brother's friend came to the house one day, and you know, he came over and he was real tanned and he was really built, and I go, wow, man, he looks fucking cool. Like, wow, you know, it's that kind of spark that you know, it's almost like a plate of armor he's got in his body, you know. It's just like, it's kind of really cool to be like that. So I started having a passion of, you know, getting to weightlifting when I was 18. And it kind of progressed, you know, like you see all these superhero comic books, these big muscles, like say, you know, He-Man action figures and that, you know, because it's the coolest thing you ever seen as a kid. But when you get older, you go, I want that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, to have that, it's like, you know, it takes a lot of dedication and hard work, but with anything, you know, and that's what
as somebody who routinely fails in the gym, I have nothing but the utmost admiration for the discipline that you've enjoyed.
With this COVID-19 stuff going around, with the gym being closed, honestly, the stuff that I have in my garage right now I'm using is, I mean, it's like old school stuff from the 70s, you know, like what Erol did back in the day with Lou Ferrigno. I mean, it's rough as nails, but it's doing what it's doing, you know, until this damn thing gets resolved. But hopefully it does soon, because, you know, our gym opened up 2 weeks ago for 2 weeks, and then now we're in stage 3 now again here, which means that the gyms are closed now. So I'm like going, you know, when's this going to stop?
I was trying to do like the workout classes over YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That's miserable. That lasted for a very short amount of time, but I digress. At some point in time, your collecting habits really mature and take off. Can you talk about how you begin to secure these amazing comics? You know, how do you pick up, for example, books like this? I mean, were you cobbling together sales from smaller books, or using money from your rewards for weightlifting, or getting lucky, or a little bit of everything? I mean,
I'll tell you how I did it. Anybody can do it. Like today, it's obviously a little bit harder because the books are getting out of hand. Like it's out of reach for majority of people. But when I started collecting the say AF-15s, I remember back when in 2012 when Avengers came out, you know, I had this itch. I wanted to get these Silver Age books for my collection. not knowing what's going to manifest into, but it started kind of going, okay, cool. You know, I'm going to get my very first Silver Age book I bought was a beat up Avengers #1. It's probably a very good grade. I paid only probably $350, $400 for it, a 3.0, wow. 3.0. So I put that aside, and then I go, you know what? I want to kind of get the first Iron Man book. You know, I look online and saying, oh, there's a good deal. So I bought my first Iron Man book. You know, the Tales of Astonish 39. Oh, sorry, Tales of Suspense 39. I bought.
Were you doing CGC at this point?
No, like my very first CGC book. I'll show you what I bought.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see here. That one there. Perfect. That's the first one I bought. First CGC book I ever bought. I didn't care if the value to it. I just wanted slapped, and that's 9.8 grade. You know what? It's a nice, fresh-looking copy. You know, it's just something that. But to this day, I've still never found a 9.9. I just can't believe after printing, say, 6-7 million of these books, not one 9.9 has ever come out, ever. Still in 30 years' time. I'm still after that book. If somebody ever has a 9.9, hey, listen, give me a call. I'll buy it. You know.
You heard the offer.
But also this one here as well too. In 2012, I never forgot. I went on a few sites, and there's this one site was called dynamicforces.com. You probably heard of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much stuff on side there, and then I look on there, and I remember in 2012 when supposedly there's the last issue for Spider-Man, right? So Spider-Man 700, and I go, yeah, you know what would be the coolest thing to actually get that book. This is what portrayed me to start getting the F-15. So I'll show you how this all went around. So when I went on to Dynamic Forces, I go, that's kind of cool. You know, to get a sign from Stan Lee would be even better. So I bought one with Stan Lee on there.
Perfect.
I bought it for $150, Nico. $150.
Oh my goodness.
That's it. Because I said, you know what? They'd be cool to get Stan Lee signed it. I said, you know what? I want it from a clutch because it's the last Spider-Man issue to have. You know, so that's 8-9 years ago. So that's when it all first came out. And then all of a sudden, I go, you know what? After me getting the Avengers 1, then all of a sudden the first appearance of Iron Man, I bought my first AF-15. It was on eBay. I looked at the price. It was about $2,500. And I looked at it. I go, it's not bad. It's not bad. I had a little stashed away in my account, right? You know, so I go, that'd be kind of cool to get that for. That's something else. I'll get that too as well. To start my little collection, like Silver Age stuff going around. So I collected that one. I got it in the mail. You know, it came for about 2-3 weeks. It came in the mail, and then I noticed one thing. It was actually a British Pence copy.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of new to that. I was like, going British Pence. I go, I said, is that something different or? You know, so I said, no, you know what? I'll keep it as is. So I'll just keep it in my collection. Maybe one day, you never know, right? And then all of a sudden, I started to collect, like say X-Men #1. I found my first X-Men #1. It was about a mid-grade copy. It was on eBay, right? The guy was selling it for, say, I think it was $2,400. I lowballed the $2,000 for a mid-grade copy.
Wow.
Because nobody at the time was buying these books. The X-Men 1 books, the Fantastic Four books, it was dead. It was like calm water. No one was wanting it. But for me, I'm going, these are the standards of the Marvel comic books. You know, not to think to say, hey, this is gonna be worth $10,000 next, another 5-10 years. I just wanted to have it for my collection wise. Then so when I bought it off the guy, I stashed it away. Then I said, okay, fine. All of a sudden I saw another guy. He had a Fantastic Four #1. It was about a 4.0 grade, very good plus grade. It was a nice looking book. And he goes, he had it for $2,800. And I said to him,
oh my gosh,
no, you can go better than that. He says, well, what do you want for it? I said, give me for $2,000. He goes, $2,000. He goes, oh. I said, listen, no one's buying it. It's just going to sit there. It's dead. He says, all right, I'll give it to you for $2,000. Stashed it away, right?
Oh.
Put them all away.
Wow.
Then the other one, was it Tales of Suspense? That's the one I'll tell you about now. That one was on eBay. I was at work one day. It was like 12 o'clock. I was on my lunch break. And all of a sudden, I'm looking online. I said, oh, that's the one I want to get for my collection is that, Tales of Suspense 39. Guess how much I paid for that one? I paid $1,000 for it. It was about a mid plus grade. That's what nobody was wanting it. I said, I'll take it. So I went $1,000, bought it. No one else was bidding on it. I won it. You know, came in the mail. I go, huh?
Yeah.
Then
now newer collectors think that you're talking about the 1990s.
No.
Right? But it just takes a little GPA search.
Yes.
Incredible growth in the Silver Age market.
Yes. Like, I mean, like I was so driven that I would be going to bed at night thinking about the next AF-15 to buy. I want, because this is what I was doing. I had one copy, then I bought another copy for, I think it was $1,800 I bought. It was about a 2.0 grade. I stashed that aside, and then I went on YouTube, and I saw some other collections on it, because that's how I started getting more and more involved in it, where I saw these other guys' collections on there, going, kind of intrigued at what they're collecting, what they're not collecting. I saw this one dude, he had a book, he had 3 AF-15s, and I said, that's pretty cool. I said, you know what, I'm going to top that. So I got another copy. I paid, I think it was another $2,000, and then as soon as I saw another copy, I just be snagging them. And then the pictures you see there, as soon as I had it all graded, I put them onto my bed, you know, spread it out. I looked at it. I was kind of like, wow, that's kind of cool. Like, not knowing that like so much significance.
We're not at this photo yet, are we?
Yeah, that's the one. I'm like going, huh? You know, I said, I want a couple more if I can get some more. So I did that. So I bought probably another 4 more copies with those other ones I have it there. I bought. And then because the market at the time was so stagnant. Like after the crash they had in 2008, 2009, 10, it took a while to recover, but I wasn't aware of all that stuff because I wasn't really like in tune of this crash market, this stuff's going around. I just wanted the book just because I wanted it. Because when you look at AF-15 today, it's not like Miles Morales. That's fine for the next generation, but for our generation right now, even into the foreseen future, you're looking at AF-15. That's Action Comics #1. That's Superman #1. That's Detective Comics. That's all rolled up in one. So it can be stagnant all you want, but it's never gonna have that stigma to say, you know what, it's worth anything less. Because when you look at the characters today, you look at 3 characters: Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. Those are the 3 biggest characters. I don't care. Like some people are probably gonna rat on me saying, "Oh, Moon Knight books, this book, this." I go, listen, Moon Knight has never been a popular character. I had that #1 book when I was 12 years old under my bed. I said it was never popular.
It's my buddy's favorite character. My buddy is as smart as they come about comics. He describes him as a D-list character.
Yes, he is. I you know what? Your biggest fans, your biggest critic media to this day, every Halloween, you go watch these kids what they go out as. You ask these kids, who is there any kids out here as Moon Knight? You know what I mean? Is anybody?
When we were younger, you know, he was always the imitation Batman.
That's what he was. He was just, you know, because Marvel had this character.
Like, oh, that's the imitation Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, dark and gritty. That's what he was. I'm like,
yeah, he was all right. I mean, but he wasn't
nothing fancy, you know.
Yeah.
So
I keep having this conversation with people that are really excited about holding on to, for example, their Ultimate Fallout 4s.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I bought a copy. I'll tell you what.
I'm like, you know, you could just buy an ASM 1 or like an AF-15 if you would just sell these stacks that you have. And they look at me like I'm crazy.
No, it boggles your mind because what you're thinking now is you're thinking the same way I'm thinking now. I'm like going, these flash in the pan books today, it's great to have a market the way it is. Don't get me wrong. It keeps the hobby exciting because people want exciting books to buy for the next generation, which is great. But what I'm finding out right now is that these books today are going so high, so fast that there's gonna be a breaking point. Because if you're gonna buy, say, an A-15 back in 1962, right? And all of a sudden, say let's flip the page here. Now, a year from now, or say in 1963, when Spider-Man 1 comes out, and all of a sudden, let's see hypothetically, AF-50 becomes worth $50. People back then be saying, "Are you out of your mind?" Now you're looking at today's books now, saying, "Hey, I bought a Miles Morales book for $10." Now people are wanting to pay, you know, $2,000 for or $1,500. I'm going, really?
Well, I'll give you a good example of this, right? So there's this book. I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. Thor 5 is the first Black Winter.
Yes, I heard that. Oh, yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's like a $50 book. It came out like 2 weeks ago or something. I didn't even know that it was a $50 book. we saw it at a half price books. Me and my buddy were out looking at comics. Someone had already turned it into half price books. Okay? And they had it in their showcase. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, I that's insane to me. I don't even think Thor 6 has hit shelves. The second print, somebody already turned it in a long box full of like, give me $25 for this. I'm done with comics, kind of. I mean, I was just like, this says so much about what's happening right now in the market. And you know, like I'm like you, I like the excitement. I love that there are newer collectors that are excited. But we lived through the demise of comics in the 90s from like the overprinting and the craziness that went on. And, you know, we've been at it for a long time. You uninterrupted me on and off. I will take my lumps for stopping. And I'll never do that again. But, by all means, like I'll tell you now, the only way for comics to survive today is a newer generation to pick them up. Because my generation, your generation, or like wherever, how old you are, you know what I mean? We're not the ones that are collecting these newer stuff unless you want to buy these so-called variants. That's only people are kind of like estimating, say, well, maybe this will be worth something, 1 in 25, 1 in 100. Yeah, it's kind of cool to have them, but only for the right price. If you buy them for when the burning bridge is burning and all the people are running to it, I said, you're going to get burned. I said, Amen. You know what? If you're going to buy a book, buy because you love it. Don't because all these people out there saying, "Oh, this is the key book to buy. You have to buy this. You have to buy that. It's so hot now, so hot now." I go, really? I go, I can sell ice cream to an Eskimo saying, "Listen, this is the hottest thing ever. Buy some ice cream cones." You know what I mean? Yeah. Good showmanship tragically will inflate markets.
If that's what it does, because when people
why other markets are regulated.
Yeah, people get hyped up and they get all caught up in the motion of it. I got to buy it now. Then what happens is they have buyer's regret after that. They buy these books they have, and they're going, these books aren't really going up in value now. So they're just kind of stagnant. Did I really buy it because I wanted it or because people were pressuring me to buy it? Because the market's telling me you have to buy this book. Like, I'll be honest. I don't care. I don't give two, you know what's for this null character guy. I don't care for it. It's not Venom.
Me too.
I know I get slack. I'll get slack, but you know what? I don't care because this book I'm turning out. Listen to me now. A year from now or 2 years from now, that book will be in a dollar bin book later on. I'm telling you now, it's not going to amount to much at all. You can hype the book up to $2,000 all you want. It's not Venom. It's not Spider-Man. It's not Captain America. It's just shanky little villain character that's not going to amount to much. It can't, because how much further can you take a villain? Look what happened to Avengers, the second movie or third movie, which with Ultron. How many people jumped off that ship as soon as the book went down like this? Everybody jumped off. That's
the same thing happened with Deno, who's an institution.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Arguably, like the other than the Joker, arguably the greatest villain of the generation. And everybody are like rats off on a sinking ship, just jumping off.
That's it.
And that I can pick up a Iron Man 55, 8.5 or whatever for the price of Venom 3 third print 9.8 boggles my mind.
It does because to me, why is like, I'll be honest, like when I watched Edge of Spider-Verse 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, in 2018, I love that movie. It was a great movie. It was probably the best Spider-Man movie I ever watched, next to Spider-Man 2. Like it was such a
good said, sir.
Tony, bravo. You brought us what we wanted. You know what? Then at the time when Miles came out, I go, that's kind of cool to have that character. I'm surprised I didn't buy it before, but this the movie really solidified that character to a point. I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy that. I went on eBay probably the same day it came home after the theater. I saw a guy on there. He had it for $200, a signature series. Yeah, I'll show you. Hold on. Here we go. I paid $199 for it, folks. Not $2,000. $199. That's what it's worth to me. If you guys want it for $2,000, go ahead. I'll give you my email address.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And the tough part is, like, I don't think you or I would suggest that a book like that is worthless. It's not.
No, it's not. It's a great character.
A $500 price tag
makes
sense to me.
Yeah,
right?
like 2,000, 1,500.
You know, a
Crazy.
$1,500 price tag does not. A
No,
$1,000 price tag does not.
no. Like
And
here's
I fear, like you do, that if people get burnt on these books,
Yep.
they're going to have a grudge against
Yes,
comics,
the market.
and they're going to stop buying comics.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that we suffered in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's why I really appreciate you, spending time with us. The thing that I think is more important to me than anything in comics, more important than the books, is the ability to mentor and be mentored, about this hobby that we love. Can you share some insights and tips for newer collectors who are just getting into the hobby that want to try and build a collection like you have?
Yeah, this is what I did. Like I said, I'm just trying to recap on in 2012. After I mounted all these AF-15s I collected, right, I used them for leverage. Now, if everybody else knows what leverage is, you can use something against something else in a trade or barter agreement here. That's what I did it for. Not to say I'm going to hoard up 10 copies and just stash it away in my safe deposit box and just leave it all there, because there's so many other books out there that I want. Maybe one day this will all just kind of like, I'll take one book and use it for this, and that's what I did. So after all these books that I mounted to, I still have like, hold on. Don't worry, I still got a lot of copies. I still left. Still got a lot of copies left, so I'm not that crazy, right? So I bought the books, and then I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to use some of these books for leverage one day. And that's what I'm telling other people to do. Collect some books you have. Yeah, it's a little bit different. Like I said, it's different because the time's gone by so fast now after 8 years of these books being so, like, going from this to that. And all of a sudden you're going, well, how am I going to make up for all these other things? Well, that's just how I did it. If you want to buy something, just manifest these books together. It's a little collection wise. Keep maybe two. Like what I don't understand is, if, let's say for instance, someone's got 20 Hulk 181 books. Now, for me wise, do I want to keep 20 in my collection, or do I want to keep maybe 2 or 3 of the best kinds and just sub off the other ones and get something else? So that's the way I think, because realistically wise, I don't need to have so many of these books. It doesn't make me any more happy. It's like the only reason why some people hoard all these other books is to think that I'm the king of the castle and you guys are not. I got more than you guys. I'm better than you guys, and you guys are not. It's not about that. It's about having a collection wise where, yeah, I'd like to have some other books where they have more meaning to me, where they're a little more rare to get. There's one book that's a British version of the AF-15. It's called Out of This World, number 17. I can't find that book for the life of me. It's a British version. Same. I think it was a year after, same year that the U.S. version AF-15 came out, but it was black and white pages inside. That is so hard to come by. I still can't find it. Even if I go on eBay every so often, it's not there. 16's there, 15's there, but 17, people know about it. So as soon as you see it on there, they'll snag it. It's hard to come by. But that's the thing, is like if you grab these books at a certain time, but like I said, the market today, where it's harder because all these books are going so high in price now. It's hard to catch up. Like I remember the time when it was like 2012 Christmas time. My wife gave me 2 books for Christmas. She gave me the first appearance of Black Widow, the Tales of Suspense 52. She paid $150 for that. I think it was.
I love it.
$150, guys, not 2,000, 3,000. I said, hey, this is great for my collection. Then she bought me first Hawkeye appearance. Same thing. Then she brought me the Sergeant Fury first Hobby Commandos. Number one, I said, hey, this is great. All for cheap back then. I said, hey, this is great. It wasn't saying, oh, hey, this is going to be worth $2,000, $3,000. I go, I just want, because, hey, this builds up a nice collection where I like having it around me, not going, ooh, I'm going to make some money off this. Ooh, I can feel it.
Can you tell us about this?
Oh, that piece. I had that piece commissioned from Tom Cook. That was back in 2010. Tom Cook was an animated artist for Hanna-Barbera and some other ones that he's done. And what he did was, I asked him, I said, can you do me a rendition of it? Because I knew Stan Lee was coming down to Melbourne in was it July of 2012 at the Comic-Con here. And I wanted that piece to have Stan Lee sign it for me, because there's never been a recreation piece of a first period of Spider-Man that's been signed from Stan Lee. It's almost like having recreation done from Jack Kirby, right? So I wanted that piece. I said, can you do that for me? He goes, sure. I said, how long will it take? He goes, about, give me like a couple of weeks, it'll be fine. I said, cool. So I made the cutoff. He sent it out to me well before Stan Lee came out here. As soon as Stan Lee came out here, he goes, yeah, he was a great guy. Honestly, anybody who's never met Stan Lee, he was a beautiful man. that guy would go end of the earth to meet his fans. And when I lined up there with my VIP ticket, I was the first person in line. I paid $600 for that ticket because my wife convinced me the day before the convention. She goes, $600. I says, yeah, $600. That's a lot of money for Stanley. She goes, when are you ever going to see the guy ever again? When? I said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to do it. $600 done. I went there with probably 10 or 15 items I had. I stood there. I was first in line. There must have been over 1,500 people behind me. I said, you know what? I'm going to get the best Stanley signature you ever saw. Because by the time he goes 4,000, his arm's going to be like this.
Did he love it?
He loved it. He looked at it. He goes right here. I go, yeah, that'd be great, Stan. Thanks. And then my wife was talking to him, and he actually kissed her on the side of the cheek. And I sit there. Don't you ever watch that face? Soon as I left, I was like, you know what, a kid on Christmas, because you know what, to meet Stan when I saw him when he first came up to the table, I was like 2 feet away from him. I go, you guys seeing this? That's Stan Lee. I go, this is the man. I said, you're actually in awe because you see him on TV, you see him on these news programs, you see him everywhere, but when you're actually in his front presence, you're just mind blown away to see that.
He's got gravity.
He does, and you know what? He was a youthful 89 at the time. Wow. I mean, that's what kept him so alive, because he lived a certain age because he loved what he did. Was a passion, and because he wasn't stressed out going to work saying, I gotta work a 9-to-5 job and I gotta be stressed out because the boss hates me and this and that. He had a dream job. He created he created the whole universe. Like what other person has ever done that except for Shakespeare? Like who has ever done that? There's nobody. It's mind-boggling to say the least. It's like this man was a genius when it came to characters. Like every character he's created, it's going to keep on being developed for the next generation. Until we die, the movies will still keep going on. That's how incredible it is. Now,
Stan's not the only magical relationship you formed in comics. Can you tell us about this interaction?
I met these two guys, two of my friends up in Sydney. We're basically. The guy to my right is Mark. I'm not sure. I forget the other guy beside him, but that's Mark, one of my good friends. He lives, I think, he's in Canberra. He lives up. It's not too far from Melbourne here. And we hooked up in Sydney. That's where Stan Lee was there on his second adventure. So that was the second time I got to see Stan Lee. And we're like, as soon as we saw Stan Lee's coming here, I said, you know what? Everybody from around the whole country here was just flocking to go to Sydney to see Stan because he's never come here before. Only that one time is in Melbourne. And when he came out here, I was going, that's probably the only time I was going to see him. But when he made a second trip down here, and I got news about I think it was like 4 or 5 months ahead of schedule, I bought tickets so fast. I met some of my good friends over there, and we just had a good time the whole day. It's just one of those things you'll never forget, especially when you see a person like Stan Lee. Like, it doesn't happen every day.
Now, that's not the only piece of art you've commissioned, right?
No, like I said, like
is this was this another piece that you commissioned?
Yeah, I was at the comic convention. I think it was like 2015. That's when Tony Moore was here. Now get this, Tony Moore's here.
One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, Tony Moore. I have him right here. Where is it? Let me show you. That's a piece right there.
Oh wow.
He did it on a Bristol, on a brownish board with pen and some whiteout. So what he did was he came to Melbourne in 2015, and I went to his booth, and get this, nobody was there. He was dead.
It's unbelievable.
And I stood there, and I saw Tony Moore. He's coming out. He has his glasses. He looked like a hillbilly. He had this plaid shirt. He got his rolled up jeans. Right. He's got almost like the way he looked, like really Southern style. And I'm going, damn, that guy's cool. Look at that's Tony Moore. I said, he's co-creator of The Walking Dead. I said, are you people looking at this? Like watch the show or something? Like you guys don't know who this guy is? I said, so I walked up and I go, hey Tony, how are you doing? He goes, it's good. He goes, I said, man, I said, could you do me a commission if possible? He goes, sure. What do you want? I said, could you do me a front rendition of the comic book, with Rick Grimes with a gun? He goes, listen, I can't do it like the same with the guns he's got, but let me change it around for you. I'll just do it with a shotgun. How's that sound? I said, hey man, go ahead, whatever you want. I'm good with it.
Wow.
So he says, come back around 4:00, and then I'll give it out to you. Does that sound okay? So sure. It's
Wait, he did that while he was sitting there?
Yes, on his breaks and stuff like that. So
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. So he goes, can you wait a few hours? Like I said, yeah. I said, take your time. I said, no problem at all. Take your time. Just I was walking the convention with my wife. We're having a good time, just doing a few things. We went for lunch, then we came right back. I was going, oh, it's like 3:30. You think he's finished? I said, like, maybe. I think so. So I went around, maybe a couple people there to sit. Like I said, there was no lineup, like nothing. I go, are you people like seriously? I go, this guy's part of The Walking Dead. I go, it was hard. Guess how much I paid for it? $400 I paid for it.
Oh my gosh.
$400. I said, take my money. I said, yeah, do me right, Tony. Take my money. I had a great time. You know what?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So like I said, it's a great piece what he did.
It's beautiful.
It's
absolutely beautiful. He's one of my favorites.
It's iconic. It's like for me wise, I love the series. Like it depends on the market wise, like The Walking Dead #1. The value is going to stabilize at what it is. It's been solidified as one of the best probably horror flicks by far.
No question about it. Yeah,
you don't have to go.
I'm add me to the long list of people who are like,
yeah.
So I want these prices to drop,
but
I don't see it happening. I just want to buy more.
Yeah,
right? I just want to buy more.
If you got #1 issue, like listen, I had #1 issue. It was it wasn't the white, it was the black one. The hard.
Yeah, I remember that was a thing for a minute, right? Like people were very interested in that.
I bought it for $2,000 because I wanted it for my collection. And then when the series started going, I started going, you know what? I kind of finally going, this is not really going to go to a point where I wanted to go. So I actually took the money, I traded it off, and then I started to trade some other books, and I bought another AF-15 with it. So at the time, because it was still not blowing up still. So then one of my biggest scores to this date was in 2012. I used to watch this program. It was on YouTube. It was a site. It was called Total Comic Mayhem. It was called.
Okay. Yeah.
I used to love that site. That guy, his name was Vic. He would put so much information out there for everybody. And I mean, it was right there for the takings. So what he did was he posted these little blogs on there. And at the time he said, Strange Tales 110, that book's going to be one book you watch out for. And I said, it's first Doctor Strange, isn't it? He goes, yeah. I said, you know what? You got a good point there. I said, you know what? I want that for my collection as well. Add it to the other guys I got, right? So I said, okay. So I went online. I found a book for $450. It was a nice, very fine minus grade for $450. I bought it from Mall High Comics. They had it listed on eBay as very good. And I looked at it and I said, very good. That looks way better than a very good. I said, if you want me to take it off your hands, it's very good. I'll do that, no problem.
Thank you, Chuck.
So I grabbed right. It got in the mail 2-3 weeks later. I looked at it. I said, the pages, man, are snow white. I go, something's not right. I said, is this like, I was kind of concerned maybe it was restored or something. Like I go, like, I mean, this is like really clean. So I had a really good friend of mine. His name's Chris. He lives in Vegas. And by the way, Chris, you do a lot for me, man. I really appreciate it. Thumbs up. And I had him actually take my book, had it Stanley sign the bottom corner of it.
Oh, wow.
I had it graded. I was going to work one day. He messaged me. He says, Erol, what do you think that book came out as? I said, I'm thinking it's a 7.0 white page. He says, dead on. Guess what I did with that book? I wanted to keep it. Yeah, I did. But at the time, the AF-15s were still out there, still for reach, still for grab. So what I did was I sold it for $5,000. But bought another AF-15, put it in the stash. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't stupid.
Well, for people that weren't around back then, and again, like a moron, I got out. It was like the Wild West.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like you could buy a Walking Dead one for $200.
Yeah.
Slab it 9/8, sell it for $2,000. It was the craziest time imaginable.
I was all over it. I was all over this stuff before it was even a thing. Like here's a book here. Sergeant Fury, first eye patch. Stan Lee signed that for me.
I love it.
Stan, you know what? There's a signature there. Perfect signature back in, this is like 2000, I think it's 2012. I bought this for $50, right? Because I wanted the eye patch.
Goodness.
So, because hey, Sergeant Fury's eye patch. I go, what's his first appearance of the eye patch, right? So I wanted to find it. So it wasn't because of a return investment. It's because I wanted it. So I go, hey, that's a kind of a cool book. I think it's only one of the first ones that Stanley's ever signed. It still probably is. It's hard to ever find these ones ever signed. So I said,
I've never seen one like that before. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then at the end of it, I'll show you two books. One is a big one here that you guys will probably know that I think it's an error. I don't care what everyone else thinks. It's an error. There's two kinds. You probably know what this is. One's a purple and one's a black, right?
Oh, okay.
All right. Here's a purple. Or is that a black one? That's a purple one. That's a magenta one, right? Actually, no, that's the black one. That's a black one, Nico. You can see how dark it is, right?
All right, let me try to get you on a single screen so that people can see this better.
Yep. That's the error one. If they say it's not an error, it is an error because it's black, really, really dark. Really dark. There's many sites I'm going online. They say the same thing. It is an error copy because if there's two copies, one's a darker one, one's a magenta one, then obviously one has to be an error copy because there's not just two different copies. We call the same copy. And there's a purple one. You can see a difference in the colors. A lot of
plain as that. Yeah.
A lot of places are calling it, hey, it's not an error. It has to be an error because it's not supposed to be like the purple one. Well, then you have two versions of it. It's like the black error one of Lethal Protector #1 and the red foil one. There's two kinds.
Or, for example, like the Blue Galactus or the pink copy of whatchamacallit.
I know what you mean. That book.
Yeah.
Oh, I think what the name of it.
Shame on me for having these sort of brain dead moments. My question, I guess, is do you like that stuff?
You know what? I bought it because I wanted it for this is how I bought it. I'll tell you how I bought it. I was online about last year, just about 6 months after the movie came out, Spider-Verse, right?
Okay.
And I was online and I bought the purple version, this one here. I bought this one on eBay. I think it was like $200 I bought. That's it. It's a nice, probably 9.8 copy. It's mint. So then I'm online and I'm going, this copy on here looks like it's black or something. And I was like going, kind of looking at it, I said, double check it. It looks black. I said, something's wrong here. So I go online and I see on Recalled Comics, there's a so-called error black cover one. And I'm going, if they're recognizing this as an error copy, then I guess there must be an error copy. So I look online on eBay again. This guy from down here in Australia, he had it here. He didn't know what it was. He just thought it was just a regular copy, right? So I go, well, hey, he must not know what I think I know what it is because obviously Recalled Comics is telling me that it's an error print copy.
I love Recalled Comics.
Yes, and he doesn't know what it is. So I go, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy it off this guy. $200 later, I snagged it off of him. I got in the mail. I said, yep, that's a black copy because I compared to both copies, and we didn't know what he had. So I said, you know what? Yep.
CGC hasn't recognized that.
They will one day. They will.
Just like they haven't recognized the newsstand version of Ultimate Fallout 4.
You know what?
That hasn't affected the price of the newsstand copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 or the Edge of Spider-Verse 2 black book. The black background, a 9.8, I believe, just sold for $1,500 last week on eBay, which is definitely a record sale.
I saw it.
I'm like you. I think there's an opportunity there for books like that. Late Marvel newsstands, late DC newsstands.
I'll tell you
which
now, Nico.
aren't being. Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
CGC does not run the market. The fans do. They gravitate to what they pay for. CGC doesn't do the marketing. They don't hype the books up. The people who buy it do. So they're the ones who control the market, not CGC. They just slap the book for you, and you do what you
my point. Yeah, I apologize if I wasn't clear. It wasn't just sort of kind of like coat them with like authority that they wouldn't claim they had, and that they obviously don't. But simply to indicate that I think that provides an opportunity, right? Before they recognize it, there's an opportunity to buy them. Because I'm like you, I think it's just a matter of time before there's an acknowledgement. And if there's never an acknowledgement, I still don't think it'll matter because I think fans are going to gravitate towards the rarities and oddities.
Yes, because sooner or later, CGC will be pressured to say, hey, listen, The fans are recognizing that this is an error copy, just like Lethal Venom Protector #1. That's black. It ain't red. This copy I have here is black. It ain't purple. So don't tell me there's two kind of versions, but they're the same version. You can't have two different looking copies be the same version. That's like saying chocolate ice cream is the same as vanilla ice cream. It's not the same. It's two different things. So you can't convince me to say that it's the same thing because it's not. You know, it's one thing. It's like, here's one. 5 times signed.
Oh, get out of town.
Yeah, 5 times signed.
Wow.
I got Herb Trimp on it. I got Stan Lee on silver. I got the editor. It was a Tom DeFalco on there. I got John Romita on there. This one, I'll tell you how much I spent for this one. This one back in 2012, I was on Comic Link, and I tell you now, I love Comic Link because I could get lots of deals on there because not many people go on there and buy good deals. But guess what? I'm on there, and I'll get what you guys don't want. So when I was on there, I saw it for $450. I placed a low ball. I placed a low ball bid. I went to work. I said, if I get it again, if I don't, I don't. We'll see what happens. So all of a sudden, I'm just working. All of a sudden, I get this notification on my phone, and then all of a sudden, it says, "Congratulations!" I said, "What?" I said, "450. Nobody wanted it." I said, "Are you kidding me?" So I got it. You know, it's just like this piece here. That's a Jim Lee original.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's from one of these books. Actually, my wife actually got that for me for Christmas. I love her for it. She's a sweetheart. You know.
Yeah.
I couldn't think
has really shined. You know, trying to help retailers with charitable auctions.
Yeah.
And the numbers that people have paid for his original art are a testament to how much he is beloved in our community.
Yes.
Can I also mention that you might have the coolest wife in the entire world?
Say again?
Your wife might be the coolest gal in the entire world.
She is. I love her.
She does for you, it's unbelievable.
She's the best ever. I love her to death. You know, she's the best thing ever happened to me. So it's, you know, it's for her to do, you know, support me when I'm collecting and stuff like that. She's 1 in a million. You know what I mean? If any guy out there has a work like that.
And she goes to cons with you, right?
She
met Stan.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she loves Stan. She loves seeing Stan. Like when she was there, you know, I'm like, just like seeing her there. I'm like, he kissed you. Oh my God. Like she was the only one who kissed. So there you go. Pat on the back.
That's good.
You know what I mean? I'm like, here's another one here. Earlier book I have. First Sentinel.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
You can stand.
I parted with an 8.5, and it still pains me.
I paid $200 awesome. $200.
Oh, holy crap!
$200. Look at that. Look at that perfect Stanley signature. Look at that.
Yeah, that is
spot on.
Well done, sir.
You know, like I love all this stuff because to me, wise, you know,
location matters with Stanley signatures too. You've gotten them in some incredible places.
It does. Like even this book here I bought. This is like in 2012. This is a hard book to find. I mean, anybody wants this. This is a hard book to find. This one here.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Tell people what that is.
Secrets behind the comics. This is where
I was trying to bid on one like a week or two ago, and I lost the auction. I'm still a little pained.
I paid $200 for this about 8 years ago. It was on Amazon. I go, that'd be kind of. I go, Stanley's. That's kind of really cool because it has all the Captain America early drawings like inside there, discussing of, you know. I'll show you the inside.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's you know, just things like that. It just talks about so much stuff inside where, like, the information on it, how the comics wise, here's the secrets wise here, you know.
Man, you got a nice copy.
It's a nice copy. It's probably about maybe 7th grade, but to me,
those books were so well loved.
They are,
right? Like here we are now. You're still opening it up. You don't open anything else up. You're like, check this out. It's amazing.
I'll tell you what. This was one of the best finds I found early this year, or I think it was late last year. This copy was sitting on Comic Link for almost 2-3 years. It has been on there forever. And I go, you know what? I just sold a big book. You know, I go, because I want to use the funds for something else, for something I really wanted. I wasn't the person to have these funds and buy something I really don't want because of peer pressure of, oh, this book. I'm going to buy what I want. You know what I mean? So I went on Comic Link, and I saw this book. Now, pardon me, it's a PGX copy, but you'll see why it is. It's never been pressed. It was done in 2006. It's white pages, 7.0 they have it on. The spine is immaculate on it. If I crack and press that book is no doubt, it should be at least about 8.0, maybe 8.5.
It's beautiful.
It is clean. It is clean. You know, it is absolutely a clean copy. You know, sometimes you luck out by getting some of these books like these ones here, like a PGX copy. You got to gamble. Sometimes you have to take risks and take a gamble. So listen, go with your hindsight.
Reward.
Yes, go with your hindsight and your instincts at times. Don't go, oh, it's a PGX copy. That's garbage. You know, I'm not going to buy that. It has to be the CGC copy or I'm not going to buy it at all. I go, well, if you got a good eye, sometimes you look at something long enough and sometimes, you know what, just because it's got a different cover doesn't mean it's garbage. You know what I mean? So that's one thing I always tell people. That's
awesome.
The thing.
That's a beautiful book. I love high grade silver. Oh my goodness!
It's like you cannot find these ones like this first Doc Ock. It's a 7.0. But like I said, I cracked this out. I pressed it. It's gonna come at a higher grade. I know it will. I got all the confidence it will because there's no ticks on nothing on it. The spine is immaculate, even the corners.
For a lot of Spider-Man guys, I think they may like that book more than the ASM one.
Yeah, to me, wise.
It's harder to get. At least for me, it's harder for me. I don't see as many of them. Certainly don't see as many in high grade. I don't know what the census comparison is. I assume there's less on the census, but there's certainly more in the vice grips of collectors because they're just not leaving.
Yeah, like I've had probably I think it was 2 or 3 copies of ASM #1, and every single time I've had one. It's that back of my head's going, it ain't AF-15 because that's the first Spider-Man. It ain't AF-15. But then I'm going, do I really need it in my collection? Another one? Because I got rid of them. I sold them or I traded some of them off for some other books. And I go, since I got so many AF-15s in my pile, I don't need an ASM #1 because I already have the King of the Castle. I don't have to have that one. But you know what? It's the thing is like sometimes some collectors have to have, I want that run of 1 to 200. I want that big run. I'm not the type of guy that wants runs. I just want these key books where, for myself, I love the Ditko ones. When I collected all the ones that I wanted, like say number 2 to number 10, but leaving out number, say, I think it's number 5, I think it is, or 6. It's the one with Dr. Doom on there. I don't really care for it because it's not the big key. I got the first Electro. I had the first, what's it called? The Vulture. To all these, I have them all 5.0 white pages. I specifically look for white pages. Because they'll maintain its solidity over the ages. Because you look at these books from the 60s, anything that's a mid-grade will be worth a lot more, like I said, down the road because they're still in that range where they still look nice, not when they're kind of ragged out down below. Because they're going to be kind of hard to get even in time. You're going to find it, but you won't. Like here's a book here.
Experienced collectors, experienced dealers love page quality.
Yes, I do too.
I was talking to a guy today who's like the buyer for IDES, and that was the first thing he asked me about a big book. What do the pages look like?
Watch this one.
Oh wow.
You see it?
Gentleman Jack. The king.
Yes, it is.
That's a pretty book too. My gosh.
You know what? The guy listed, get this. The guy listed it. He says missing a coupon in the back of the book. And I said, no, but okay, I'll still take it no matter. I paid $300 for it. And he says, yeah, that's not the problem. All it's got back in the back of the book is there's I think a little head of the Thing was cut out. That's it. So the book is still complete. You know what I mean? I
love it.
Like, hey, me. You
know what I mean? I love it. Yeah, it paid smart about comics.
Yeah,
I mean, it pays dividends to be a student, to constantly be learning. It really does.
You have to, because the thing is, like, if you don't, like, I'm usually online all the time, probably an hour, 2 hours each day, just going on the net, just surfing books. It's not draining. It's not work. It's an enjoyment. So when I do all that, I find something. If I want something in my head, majority of the times, if you want something so much bad, you'll manifest it to come out to you. Call it, call it consciousness wise, but it's true. It's going to come out to you. If you want something to a point of, you want something, like when I was willing, as far as those AF-15s, I want every night, go to bed. Oh, I got to have another one. I got to have another one. I gotta have another one. I gotta have you know, because the more I had, the more I go, hey, this is leverage. Now I can use this. One thing I did 2 years ago was a smart trade. I had a 1.5 AF15 that Stan signed, right? And I go, you know, I got plenty of copies in my stash. You know, I could bear to lose a few copies for something else. So I go, one book I want that I haven't had, but I wanted for so long, but I couldn't find. TMNT #1 first print.
Oh boy.
Right? I looked at one copy. The guy had 9.2 copy. I went on the CGC forum and I said, hey, listen, you got us something that I want. You want something I got? And he goes, what do you got? I said, well, I kind of dangled the hook, you know. I said, I got an AF15. Stan signed it. I go, it's got all the right bells for it. You want it? He goes, ooh, that looks pretty good. He goes, but I actually have a 9.4 higher grade copy if you want that one instead. I said, I sure do. I go, I'll take the 9.4 white pages. Thank you very much. He said, all right, I'll do the deal. I sent him my book. He sent him his book. I go, thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful, sir.
You just have to go out there and just make yourself present. If you want something, just do it. You know what I mean? Like I said, today's market is a lot different. The Silver Age market has gone on bonkers as far as the prices, but there's still some good books to get. But some people just don't go on to it because it's not popular yet. I go, don't look for the popular ones like that because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be out of your reach depending on what kind of grade you want. I bought all these books when nobody was caring for it, like X-Men 1 to Fantastic Four 1. It was dead. Nobody was hyping it. I said, you just use your instinct. If you want something, just buy because you love it. Don't buy because it's like, oh, the pressure. People are telling me this book, it's going to go higher. It's going to go higher. So then what happens is you buy the book, you put it in your collection, then all of a sudden, 2 times out of 10, you go, well, that book's not doing much for me now because it's not got up in price. I got to start dumping it off now. You know what I mean? And that's what they do. So I don't want any books in my collection that I don't want because someone hyped a character up because I have to buy it. I don't buy it because I don't want it. Hey, listen, Nova, the first appearance of Nova is gone up. Did I want it? No, I don't care for it. Because it's going in price, do I still want it? No, I don't care for it. That's the thing I'm trying to get to people. Don't buy because it's going in price, because you have to go on the bandwagon, because you have to be one of those sheep collectors to go on there. Don't do that. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to regret buying that book because you're not buying because you actually want it. You know, keep your collection to a point of keep it manageable. If you start collecting these characters, your head goes so many directions, you don't know what you want anymore. If you keep your collection to a certain point where, hey, listen, I want a kick-ass Spider-Man collection, I'm going to go with that. Don't let anything else influence you. Just buy what you want because that'll steer you in the right direction of what you actually want and then keep it on the right path. Because then 9 times out of 10, you can have a collection that you actually want, not just fillers because someone told you that, hey, this is like top 10 book of the week, you know, got to buy it. You know what I mean? Get you know, it's almost like a circus clown. You know what I mean? Going, get your tickets, folks. Get your tickets. You know what I mean?
Drives me nuts.
It's like, get your candy, folks. I'm going to throw some corn dogs with that. Here you go, guys. You know what? I know you want it. Here you go. And the people fall for it. They all fall for it. It's like, it's no different than the Wizard magazine. But I bought the Wizard magazine, hyping these books up for the read of it, not for the return on investment. That's the difference. If you buy because you want it in your collection, like this book here, if it doesn't amount to anything, I don't care. I like the character. I bought a nice grade copy or ungraded copy. It's going to stay in my collection. If it goes to $1,000 or $2,000, sure, I could pawn it off. Do I love the book? Yes and no. Do I want the money wise for it? Yes, I'll take the money, no problem.
Amen.
That's something else now because hey, listen, if this got up in price to a point of say $2,000 and someone else wants it, there you go. Take it away. I'll buy something else. I'll buy a Ditko book, no problem.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I know I promised to only keep you hostage for an hour, and I do appreciate your time, but I want to get
I'm good.
I want to get a couple more questions in. So you mentioned the CGC boards, just a wealth of information. So for people who are not familiar with the CGC boards, can you kind of explain to them when you started on there and how it helped you both procure comics, but also kind of like learn about the collector's market and mature as a collector?
Yeah, like soon as you on these places, like say when I found out about the CGC forum, I was new to it. Like, you know what, like I said, the first book I ever bought was a CGC book, was 2000, I think it was 2010 or 11, you know what I mean? Something like that. And then after years of collecting so many books, I started, going on these sites on YouTube, and people are going to this site called the CGC Forum. And I said, okay, I'm new to that. I want to see what it's all about. You go on there, you see the chat lines, what's on there, what people are selling on there. It's almost like a swap meet, like a big, like you go to a flea market. That's where it is. It's a big CGC flea market. The people at the booths are all there. You walk inside there. You're looking for what you're looking for. You put on your advertising, what do I want to buy? And there's so many times on there. It's like a huge surf engine where so much traffic goes on there. Majority of the times you're going to find what you want on it, because sometimes a person wants something and they'll say, hey, this guy wants what I have. I'll sell to him, no problem. And when I went on there, for me wise, I've made so many trades on there, because to me wise, I like doing trades better than actually buying with cash wise, because at this time in my career wise, as far as like collecting wise, it doesn't make sense for me to pay $10,000 for a book. Like that's a lot of money, because a lot of people today are going, I want that AF-15, but it's $10,000, $12,000. That's a lot of money. People don't understand that. The reason why some people aren't buying it right now at that price is because they sometimes, I may be wrong, I don't know, but sometimes they don't have faith in saying that it's not going to go up in value more. Well, if it's not going to go up in value more, but you want the book, why don't you just buy it because it'll always retain its value. But there's always that, I got to make sure it goes higher in price just to kind of get my return. I said, don't think like that. The book is always going to have that significance value to it, just because the first appearance. It always will. 20 years from now, who knows how long it's going to take to go to a certain price, but who cares? You have it, enjoy it. But like I said, to this point of how much prices are going to, like say on the forum, like I said, as soon as I go on there, I'm looking to do trades, because like I said, it takes a lot of balls to put out $5 or $10 grand for a book. That's a lot of money. That's why some of these books today aren't climbing in prices still, because people are backing up saying, wait a second here. If I want that book bad, I got to pay $10,000, $11,000, $12,000. Then where's it stop? Then someone's going to say, well, if I got to pay 20 grand now for a 2.0 book, that's a lot of money. You got to have a lot of faith to think that book's going to double in 10 or 20 years. It's no different than the stock market. You're taking a gamble. You know what I mean? But with this kind of gamble, all these kind of grail books you have out here, they're not immune to going down a bit. They're not, because it all depends on who's willing to upset the prices.
Yeah, Silver Age is down 20% probably over the last 2 years.
That's fine. To me, I get scared because I bought my books early.
Well, it's the most iconic pieces of popular culture in the history of the world.
Yes,
right
it is.
No question about it.
No, that's the things like people don't understand. It's like when you buy, like say, like here. I picked this one up. It's a nice copy. A nice Craven.
Hold on. That is a real nice copy. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
It's a nice, I saw this on High Grade Comics. I know the owner's name's Bob. I know it. As soon as I saw this book, I got to have it. It's just, I didn't have this for my collection, but I wanted, it's first Craven Hunter. You know what? Because this book is notorious for having that spine always dinged up. It's always marked all the time. But this one's a nice clean copy. So.
That's beautiful. Oh my goodness.
I picked up that. I picked up this one as well. A beautiful copy thing. It's a clean copy. You know what I mean? So it takes time and takes patience to build a collection. You can't do it overnight. I've been doing this, for the past, the Silver Age probably 8-9 years right now. The thing is, like, if you're patient to find something, it'll come to you. But the thing is, if you're not, you say the first thing you want, and then all of a sudden, oh damn, I'm gonna wait until I get a better copy. I said, but you should have waited until you had more money to buy a better copy.
Now that's a very important insight, right?
That's what people don't do. They go, oh, I'll just get a copy just to have the copy. Then they go, oh, I really don't want this copy because it's a beater copy, and I want something better because low grade better than low grade.
For the record, they're working against themselves, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So every time you buy a book, you are contributing to the higher value of the higher grade copy that you want.
Exactly. Like this one here. This one here.
Self-defeating prophecy.
That's how it is. That's what people do. This is how it is. I've had this copy. I'll show the book I have here. I've had about probably 4 or 5 copies. I've used every copy to get more AF-15s and whatever I wanted because I love the book. But at the time, I'm going, was it the king of the castle as far as on the totem pole for books? No, it was still, but still a great book for the 70s. It's this book here. You know, it's a nice high grade.
Lord of mercy.
You know,
she's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous copy. You know, I waited a few years to get this copy. You know what? It came out. I sold a few books. I bought this copy this year. It was on a site, I'll call it, is on qualitycomics.com. It was on the site a few months ago. I had somebody stashed from some other books they sold, and I go, now I want that copy in my collection. Now I want it. I want it back because you know what? It's still up there. And then all of a sudden they had a copy on the site. I looked at it, and they get this, Nico. They mark it as a 7.0 for $2,900, and I go, nah, that book ain't no 7.0. I said, wow. Yeah, whoever's doing that must have some really thick glasses, man. I said, no way. That I said, as soon as I saw it, I kept looking at it. I said, no, that's higher. Buy it now. I said, whew. You know, so I went to a good friend of mine. I emailed him the pics, and I'll mention his name. His name's Nick. He's ETA Nick.
Took great. The words out of my. That's funny. I was thinking of the same guy. He's the accountant, man.
Nick is awesome.
Nick is awesome. I feel like we're all playing hopscotch, and he's playing 3D chess. I've never seen anything like it. You know, just like bang.
Yes, he is so intellectual on this market of what to do, what not to do, what to buy, what to look for. Like, I mean, he is so above everybody else where, you know, I respect the guy so much that whenever I'm in kind of a doubt of what to buy, what kind of picture is, I have a good eye as far as like what to buy, but his is a little bit more above what I can see. So when I sent pictures to him, I showed him that. Yes, I showed the picture of that Hulk 181. I said, Nick, what do you think this book is? I emailed him right away. He says, that looks almost like a 9.2. I get sold. I bought it like that. No problem. I got my money's worth and more. So it happens. If you find deals, it happens. It's just, you know what, you have to go online almost every day to kind of find it. If you just go like once in a while, and then you go, oh, I'm never going to find it. Oh, it's not going to show up because, you know, I can't have no time.
Lots of shopping and lots of patience, right?
It's patience. It just takes a while to build a collection. It doesn't take overnight to build what I've done like in the past, 10, 15 years. It takes time. It's like people say, well, I wish I had what you had. I said, well, you could have at the time, because I remember the time when this is the thing. In 2012, when ASM 700, the variant edition of the Ditko cover, right? I remember a guy, he paid $4,500, Stanley signed 9.8. This is a time when a guy could have bought an AF-15 at the same time, a beater copy for $4,000. I said, you're crazy. I go, now are you regretting that? That's what I would have done. But they went, hey, this saw something I didn't see. I said, well, I know what I'm seeing, but you're not seeing what I'm seeing. So they actually paid $4,500 for 9.8, that variant. I go, instead they could have bought AF-15, a 2.0 for the same price.
Yeah. What a beautiful, beautiful way to end. For those who have any doubts about the state of the market, please, how can people reach you and talk to you about books?
You can just email me. I'm on Instagram, Erol Molnar at Instagram.com. Just even go through you if you have to. It doesn't matter. I'm always around. I'm always on the net. I love talking about comics of what's out there. That's just my opinion. Hey, everybody out there has got their own opinions of what they want to buy. If the market is the way it is, then that's the way it is. You know what? I don't get caught up in it as far as what's hot, what's not. I just buy what I enjoy, what I like. If you stick to those rules, you'll never go wrong, because then you'll never have a book that you regret to buy. And also, if you have those books that you regret to buy, then you always try to pawn it off for something else. That's what I don't do.
A wealth of knowledge from our friend Erol Molnar, the AF-15 guru.